Your news in the way that I do, in the way that a lot of us do now, that will have come up as an alert on your phone that says Ruben Amorim says Manchester United are the worst ever version of Manchester United. It's not quite what he's trying to say when you hear it in context, but it's still punchy.
It is quite punchy, but you're hearing somebody say that. But, like, Gaffer, we saw it. We was talking about it before. You feel... He's reading that. Someone's told him that before, you believe?
Yeah, he's been given that. He was actually reading it. His head was going down reading the bit about the history of the club. It's the worst run, blah, blah, blah. Someone's given that to say, look, you're probably going to get maybe hit with this question. Get ahead of the game. I don't know whether he was wise in actually bringing it out, because it's been turned round, as you say,
Do you think it's because, as well, Kels, it might be the second language and it's not come out as clearly as he'd like to? Because we're talking about a long time ago, aren't we?
But I think it's quite blunt. It's not a kind of subtle point that he's trying to make where it would come in. You're the person who speaks languages, so we can ask you. But I don't think that... It doesn't feel like something that would necessarily get lost in translation. But as Glenn said, there is this fact that Manchester United have lost 6 games in a row at home for the first time since the 1890s. Years, and that's what he's referring to when he says this.
Yeah, I think he should have said that this run of home result right now is the worst ever in the history, pretty much.
In the history,
Not that this current team is the worst team that they've ever had.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of me also thought maybe he wanted to deflect a little bit the attention on, I give you a headline, this is your headline, more than how bad I've been, really, because he said it himself. I've done worse than the guy before, who we all criticise all the time. And how bad this team has been. OK, the Liverpool game, the Arsenal game, were games where they defended really well. We give them that. They had a defensive plan. They executed it well. But as soon as they have to attack a bit more, as soon as they have to press a bit more and play a bit higher up on the pitch, especially at Old Trafford, they're struggling, and you go there and you pick them apart. That's what Brighton did.
Who do you think that's meant for, that message, when he talks about that? Is it to the press? Is it to the fans, to the owners?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I think they've bit off a lot more than they could chew. And so I don't know if they realised what was happening when they were going to go to Man United and try to change what's happening there, especially with the Ten Hag tenure. You know, like we're talking about like £600 million they've spent in 3 years, and they've still got to rebuild a whole team, this guy. And this is why probably, Kels, when they were trying to appoint him at the start, remember he said he'll come at the end of the season. They said, no, you come now. I genuinely thought that would have been not a bad idea, so as he can see what he's got, get him to the end of the season and say, right, I know exactly what we need. But I did not expect Manchester United to be playing as badly as this, so like inconsistent. You know, like I remember after the Liverpool games and the Arsenal games, I remember after the Arsenal game, I think it might have been, when he said, I'm not going to get excited about it. I want to see how we play against Southampton.
Learn more
against Southampton, against Brighton. And he's right.
It's when the game becomes open, when they're expected to play an open game at home against Southampton, against Brighton. That's the problems they've got in the system that he has. And that's what he's going to work out. What personnel can I do with certain games? For Liverpool and Arsenal and City away, not City away to a certain degree, they had a little bit of a smash and grab in the end, didn't they? But for Liverpool particularly, with the ball and defensively, they were spot on. And that would have given him a lot of hope. They actually did play longer. We did a show after that game. No goal kicks were played out from the 18-yard box. It was into the other. And they still had a lot of possession. So they still got enough possession to really play well against Liverpool and cause Liverpool, the best team in the country at the moment, a lot of problems in their own backyard. And I'm thinking, if he keeps going on that, you've got a chance, Man United. Suddenly, Southampton... Is
he not giving the same attention to what Southampton can do? Does he underestimate Southampton? Why wouldn't you do the same thing? Why don't you play the same way?
Well, both them games...
Southampton at home, can you?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, but you can go direct.
Yeah, but also, Ian, I think... it's made for them to defend tighter against Liverpool away. Right. It's made for them against Arsenal away in the Cup, you know, and go over to City and defend as a team collectively. And I'd say similar to Tottenham. Tottenham's the same scenario. They get results against the better teams because they're tighter. And actually, Man United are better. Now it's an open game, becomes more open. We're playing Southampton, we're playing Brighton, we're playing... Now it's we've got to take you on as a football team. Their system is failing them. It's failing them defensively then. And
is that that's down to him then, surely?
Down to him, and obviously mistakes. Players make mistakes, but there's a little bit of anxiety in their play. You can see it. And when there's anxiety and confusion, there's mistakes to come.
Yeah.
When you say they can't play like that at home to Southampton, Is that because of perception?
Also, I don't think he wants them to. Let's not forget, although he's a disciple of Mourinho, and Mourinho is his mentor, always been his mentor, still is now, I think, he wants to be a more proactive, attacking coach, which his sporting team was brilliant to watch at times. And I think this is eventually where he wants to get to. And this is where I struggle a little bit, is that he wants to try to play that style of football, but this team is not ready. Whether it's a system problem and these 3-4-2-1 with 2 inside 10s, and he doesn't have the player for it. Maybe the player don't really understand exactly what he wants them to do right now with the ball. But he should think about result now more than anything else. So if you have to play long on Holland, play long, don't play Zirkzee, because Zirkzee is a player to have the ball and control because he's that kind of number 9. Play long on Holland, have 2 players really close to him, win the second ball, have Ugarte and Mainu quite close to their back three. Instead, like we were saying before the show, we watched the highlights of the Brighton game again. Brighton, literally, United players were cones on that pitch. There was no pressing, no pressure on the ball, just nothing. It was a training drill for Brighton this game.
And that's probably the more concerning thing for the manager. Isn't necessarily even maybe they got the tactics wrong, or maybe they feel they can't play like that in this game because it's at Old Trafford. But the fact that even with that, with all those caveats in place, if the intensity is not there and the work rate isn't there, nothing's going to work anyway. Well,
again, I go back to what he said. He said, it's easy to get yourself up to play Liverpool and Arsenal. You know, the problem that they've got at the moment, as well as the fact that they don't seem to have a plan for the so-called lesser teams, is their mentality. The mentality is wrong. You can't play as well as you did against a team, like you said, Liverpool, I think, are the best at the moment, easily. And then you even the Southampton game the other day, Hamad had to save them. You know, he had to save them with an hat-trick in 12 minutes. You know, they were on their way to losing against Southampton, team at the bottom of the league. There's something wrong mentally with that team, and obviously, structurally, when they're playing against the Southamptons or the Brighton or anybody, they don't seem to have a plan to how to beat these teams.
I think if he goes into a Liverpool, he goes into a Man City, he goes into an Arsenal, even a Newcastle, his system, he'd make it work.
Yeah, I agree.
And we'd all be going, wow, what a good coach. At the moment, it's not going to work at Manchester United. And that's why I think he wanted to come in next season. And he wanted to get these plans. But, you know, now it's an experiment for him. He's thinking, who am I going to keep? He hasn't. He's inherited that squad. It's not his squad at all. And it won't be until next season's. But he's going to say, who am I going to keep? Who do I think I need to get out of? But the surprise was maybe you're sitting 8th, 9th, going for a European place whilst we're doing this as a manager. That's the vision. But now they're down, you know, down where they are. Lose another couple of games and they could be under immense pressure.